My favorite part of Telematic Bridges this year was all the people I met, and we all got to bond and create some sort of family here.
Puentes es básicamente un trabajo que venimos haciendo hace ya unos 4 años. Es un trabajo entre chicos de la ciudad de Manizales, Colombia, y la ciudad de Santa Ana, en California, Estados Unidos. Lo que ellos hacen durante un par de semanas es aprender algunas técnicas relacionadas con la música a nivel de composición, a nivel de edición, y sobre todo trabajar conjuntamente, cómo trabajan chicos de 2 ciudades, de 2 países diferentes, y cómo se encuentran gracias a la música y gracias a sus intereses particulares, que en este caso tienen que ver mucho con lo sonoro.
Juan and Mario and Tata and myself had been collaborating for a number of years on telematic music projects, and Puentes really grew out of the work that we had been doing. We decided we wanted to open up the literal spaces on our campuses and bring in young people to see what they would do and how they would explore these kinds of techniques and tools we'd been using.
Este año en Puentes Telemáticos pude aprender a cómo aprovechar mucho mejor la virtualidad, cómo mejorar con las herramientas que nos brinda y impresionarme mucho con todo el acercamiento, con que esta función cumple con lo que promete, que es acercarnos con las personas que están lejos de nosotros.
Another goal we have in this program is to introduce students to new ways of creating music that they're not likely to get in their school programs, and that includes very open forms of improvisation and collective work.
One of my most favorite parts to this project was just more learning and opening expanses towards new music and how it's conducted.
It's way different. You don't have a paper to read off of like you usually do in band. So you just have to improvise the whole thing.
One of the tools that we use to ease students into improvised music in this class is a system called conduction that was developed by Lawrence Butch Morris.
And just a new way to approach music. We're used to reading off of music, and even in jazz, we used to have some outline to work with.
In jazz, when you do improvise, but the way we improvise here is way different than the way you improvise in jazz, because you have a genre that you have to kind of follow, or a song that you're improvising to. You have at least a piece or something to improvise to. Here you have nothing. It's just they just tell you to do this, and you just have to improvise from there.
Even a basic approach to Morris's system of conduction can help get the students working together in really new ways, and it's also great to see some of them take on the role of being the conductor and improvising in dialogue with the ensemble.
Conduction, I think, brings a sort of liveness that sometimes may be missing for the kids when you work on stuff that is not live, like the DAWs and all this stuff. So I think that liveliness of actually being kind of vibrating simultaneously kind of brings another kind of level to the experience. And I think it adds also a lot that, although maybe they're not consciously thinking about it, that you have also kind of good sound quality. I think that brings another level of telepresence in an affective level. I think tools or the resources like conduction kind of bring or kind of underlines kind of that possibility of being together through the network.
So in addition to group playing together, we also use the other half of the time to work on more production and composition-oriented projects in small groups using an application called Soundtrap, which is a browser-based digital audio workstation built for collaboration.
My favorite part of the program was doing all the projects on Soundtrap. Even if someone was really far away, with the chat, you could, and the syncing, you can see what each person was doing on their own.
Pudimos trabajar proyectos y cada uno como dar su granito de arena en su grupo.
So I took ideas, and then if they needed me to, I would expand on it, and then they would do the same.
I usually don't think of myself as a very creative person, but when I heard everyone else adding stuff, I would just think to myself like things I could add here and there, and I'd be like, oh, this isn't as hard as I might have thought.
The point with these soundtrack projects isn't so much to teach music production. There's lots of online classes where you can learn those skills. But really, to me, what's more interesting is watching them collaborate, giving them a very open space for composing projects together and learning about collaboration, including collaborating over the network, dealing with telepresence, and also collaborating when it's challenging and you have to negotiate difficult decisions together as a group.
At first it was a little confusing, but after a while I got used to it. It was a little stressful because some other teammates kept putting stuff and I didn't really like it, but we worked around it and we made a full project all together.
Fue una experiencia muy interesante, muy enriquecedora también por la unión de las culturas.
The intercultural dimension of the course is also really important to us. We try to do different kinds of ice-breaking activities where the kids can share aspects of their culture that matter to them. It never feels like we have enough time to go deep into this, but one of the interesting things I've noticed is that there's an aspect to the intercultural experience the kids have in the course that just happens through the very fact of working together, and it's not even something that we can engineer. It just sort of takes place. And one of the best examples of that is in the language skills and the developing the capacity to navigate a kind of bilingual space.
They speak a different Spanish than the Spanish that we know.
Confieso que a veces la barrera idiomática puede ser un obstáculo, sin embargo es algo que se lleva muy bien debido a que pues, ellos hablan un poco el español y nosotros también teníamos nociones del inglés y teníamos personas que nos ayudaban a traducir en ciertos casos.
Chévere, aquí se oye mucho la percusión. The percussion is really strong.
When I couldn't hear them, I was saying mande, mande, and they were laughing at me. I was like, what did I say? I guess they don't use that word as excuse me or something.
Esperemos que en los próximos años podamos continuar estas líneas de aprendizaje que sigan creciendo, seguir teniendo a los que nos han acompañado. Y creo que eso es como una de las cosas importantes, que no sea simplemente un encuentro para intercambiar conocimientos, sino empezar a intercambiar como personas, como seres humanos. Porque a partir de eso nos dan los mayores crecimientos y los más importantes. Acá los cuatro que administramos el espacio, no solamente somos personas que venimos trabajando en cosas afines, sino que nos hemos convertido en buenos amigos con el tiempo. Estas redes no solamente son redes tecnológicas, sino que son redes personales. Lo importante acá no es el aparato, es cómo ese aparato nos sirve a nosotros y a ustedes para poder conectarnos. Son las personas del lado del aparato. Ahí es donde está lo verdaderamente importante. Y entre esas dos personas es que estamos buscando construir estos puentes. Y ojalá lo podamos seguir haciendo.